Has anybody ever saw the show Maury? Have you ever seen a man test a bunch of women to see who's the baby mama?
Women react to the rise of single and childless women. So basically there has been a study research done by Morgan Stanley where they're projecting 45% of women between ages 25 and 44 to be single and childless by the year 2030. And then more than 50% of women currently are childless at 30. So from a woman's perspective, also being 30 yourself, like what factors do you think are contributing more to women being single?
Hold on. So did this girl just say currently there are 50% of women that are childless and single at the age of 30? Ooh, this is already starting off heavy. All right, let's actually see what goes on here.
I think right now more of us are single because we grew up in this craze of going, you go to college and you like, now you gotta have debt and now you gotta work it off. Like we were a little more, you know, I hate to be cliche, but in that empowerment mode of women really grinding after it. And we've broken a lot of barriers, so to speak, in different capacities. You see more.
You see, this is a real one right here. You know, let's applaud this girl right here. She's already starting off on the right foot. I like this girl. She looks a little bit, you know, a little crazy, but she got something up here. I mean, that's an absolute fact. This idea that women should be going off to college and after that they get in tons of debt and then they become a strong, independent woman. I mean, that is exactly the reason why the age has been pushed back further and further. I mean, you know, now it's a stigma for a young woman to, you know, be in a relationship. Like they looking down on, you know, women who are early 20s as if you did something wrong for actually getting married. Like the world that we live in is totally crazy. But let's go on.
Or women doing certain jobs that maybe before only belonged to men or it was majority men. You saw that flux happen. So as a natural byproduct, some of us, when we get into that go mode and we're hustling or doing our best to be a leader in whatever field we're at, we have our competitor hat on and maybe some of our priorities took a back seat. I know for me, I feel like it's more like I just had some bad decisions. So like I don't want to say wasted my time on some experiences, but those were experiences I had to learn. So I feel behind, but I can't speak for everyone though. Those are just my experiences. So I think it could be a combination. Maybe, yeah, there's less pressure to settle down than there was so many years ago. Mm-hmm. And truthfully, I always look at the glass half full. So I'm kind of like, you know what? I'd rather live it up, be a little selfish, and then when the time comes, we be popping out these kids and I will feel like I've lived my life and I can be fully present for them, you know, because it's not.
You see that right there? That is the truth. She said it right. That was the key word, selfish. You know, I'm not here to knock her because, again, as I said earlier, I actually think she was saying a lot of factual things. But you see, fundamentally, that was the thing. You know, there was pressure back in the days. And pressure is not necessarily bad, you guys. You know, pressure, right? But there was fundamentally an obligation to the tribe, to the family that you belong to, that, hey, you know, I have this daughter and she's in her 20s. I mean, is she not getting married? Did I do a bad job as a parent because no man actually wants her? Like, what is going on? So, of course, there should be pressure. I mean, because after all, what is the purpose of you going to college, getting this degree? Men don't give two shits about your degree. I mean, I don't know how many times I gotta say this over and over. Every guy could come up here. You got Andrew Tate, you got Kevin Samuels, you got a whole bunch of dudes that were saying the same thing. Men do not care about a woman's degree. So at the end of the day, we have to boil down to what is your motivation to get this degree? And she said it. Selfish. You see, again, that is their motivation. It's completely selfish. I, the women, right? I just want to make my own. I want to be independent. You see, that's the word. Independent, selfish, right? Because it is impossible for you to be in a relationship with two parties while being independent.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
How does that work? How can that union be formed? So live your best life. I actually think she's saying it right. Live your best life, because by no means, as a man, I don't ever want a woman to think that I've held them back in some way, shape, fashion, or form. But this is utterly amazing. I mean, these women actually thinking that they're doing themselves a service by going to work, which men don't care about in the first place. But it's all so that you can buy the shoes you want, you can take the trips that you want, you can do all these things, and then when you reach up in your 30s or later, and let's not even throw this in the factor, in this so-called living your life, what are you doing? Are you only going to school? Or are you sleeping around in the process, right? Thereby lowering your body count. And then when you do finally want to settle down, you have some simp, some beta come up, and he has to deal with all this baggage that you have psychologically, emotionally. The simp got to put on all this baggage because you want to live your best life. It is selfish.
Not about me anymore, my life and all the things that I want to do because I didn't get to do them, and I'm going to hold the resentment against the kids now. No, I think that it's okay if you're a late bloomer. I'm a late bloomer to everything, and I don't feel that there's shame in that. But I think if I had to pinpoint it, I think part of it is the workforce situation. Part of it might be people had more room to have experiences, and so now they're just waiting on the one.
I think a lot of it, like I said, is hookup culture. I think that is such a new thing for like younger generations, or I guess just the younger crowd, that by the time we were 30, that all the gems are taken. And it's, if you find a good guy, like it's hard to trust them and really think that they're honest, because some of the
Ooh. She hit it. She hit the nail. Oh, I'm sorry. Hit the hammer right on the nail, you guys. She said it. Hookup culture. And look, notice what she said. You gave away all your gems. You see, this is exactly. She's someone that's self-aware. At least, hey, the Bible says don't credit a person too soon. So maybe I'm giving her too much credit. Right? We gotta hear what she has to say. But right now, she got it on point. You throwing all these gems away. Right? And then you're gonna come up, like as I mentioned before, you're gonna take this simp that has to put on all this baggage. Man, hookup culture. That's interesting.
The candidates you meet nowadays are just the worst.
I think it's that accessibility that wasn't there prior. So if you think about it, like my grandmother and my mom weren't able to have their own bank accounts. So like now that I have more financial freedom for myself, I don't have to get married to secure that financial freedom. So like I think women are choosing to be single now because they are more accessible to different careers that are able to pay them to be single. Like there's no more where you have to marry a man to ensure that you're able to have an income. So I think that's the biggest factor.
Wow, did you hear what that one said? And this actually goes back to a video I made literally recently where I touched on the same topic. And what was that? Is that, truth be told, a lot of these modern women, if you make enough money, they are willing to throw away all their non-negotiables, the things that they made the beta simp go through. Oh, well, he got to meet this checklist and this checklist and this. You make enough money, all that goes outside the window. And why am I mentioning that? Because she's saying that it's accessibility. So now women have that access to certain jobs, so they don't really need to get married anytime soon, right? You see, that's what it is. They have prioritized the dollar. That's all it is. Men, you just go to the side, move to the side, right? Because clearly, if they are able to make the money to uphold their lifestyle, That's all they care about. And that goes right back to what that other woman said about the selfishness. That's all they care about. They don't care about really trying to grind and thug it out with you. And I don't even like that word, but that's, that's what people say in the streets, right? Thug it out. They're not trying to be a ride or die. They want it already made. They want you as a man to be an already made man, and they don't give two shits about you grinding or you trying to become better for yourself. They don't care about that. So this is exactly what I'm saying. If you're not the already made man, woman like that, best believe she's just gonna make her own. She's gonna get a job, and she's A-okay with that. That's just the reality.
I think there's a lot of things. I think that, like, even just our parents' generation and the generation before them, like, women depended on guys to be their provider because they maybe didn't have the opportunities or just, like, weren't as career oriented as women are now. So I think that women got married a lot younger previously, like, so that the guy could provide for them. So I think that because women have careers now, that they might kind of, like, push off that part of their life. And then also, like, just with, like, modern medicine and fertility things, like, you can, like, freeze your eggs or embryos and, like, have babies later in life, which that wasn't, like, as common or as available before.
This is very interesting because you have this girl, pretty much echoing what her, the other girl before her said, women don't have the pressure to get married as soon because, again, they have careers. They used to depend on men to provide for them. Now they don't have to depend on the man because they have the almighty dollar. The dollar is their man. And you see, it's sad. And truth be told, the only reason why I come on these videos to even talk about this stuff is to really just show you the state of the world today and where morality has gone. There is, truth be told, if you're going to take it from a biblical standpoint, I don't even believe in dating. I believe that, a man should go to the father. The father would vet the man to see if that man is suitable for his daughter, and they will carry out the arrangements of the marriage that way. So I don't even believe in dating. But I'm here to just bring a light onto why we are in the state that we in as a people today in America. This Western-minded culture is teaching women that fundamentally they don't really need men. That's what they're preaching. So when you hear a woman say, I don't need a man, she actually believes that. She's not. Matter of fact, I probably should stop calling them delusional. Maybe they're not delusional. Maybe they actually believe it. Maybe they're not even trying to fool themselves. They actually believe it. And how can you blame them when they could just go to school and make their own money? You see, but here's one thing that's going to be very interesting, because I guarantee you, women are not going to appreciate men until shit hits the fan. Women are never going to appreciate men the way that the women back in the days appreciated men. When there was war that was constantly going on, right? There wasn't this illusion of all this peace and tranquility. Right? Their minds wasn't being appeased by the news media. I mean, they were literally fighting for their lives. And they realized they needed the strength of a man to hold things down, to provide. Until we get back to that, women are going to just provide for themselves. They're going to just continue to live their lives, make their own money, go to school, get a career, and then forsake having children. And then here's what's so crazy too, right? Just Google it for yourselves. But there are so much more health complications the older you get, and when you try to have a child, the success rate decreases. So here you are actually doing yourself and this potential newborn a disservice by you foregoing your most fruitful years. You forsaking your youth because in the chase of the almighty dollar. And then when you do plan on having children, you put that child at risk of mental defects, autism, of a whole bunch of other stuff, all because you wanted to live your best life. Hey, this thing, hey, I don't even promote modern dating. I only did that for the sake of clickbait and, the title and all that stuff. Again, I don't believe in dating, but for you people that are in the dating scene, ain't looking good.
And then I also think the amount of options that we have because of the internet, whereas before, like, you had your people in your area, but now, like, because there's just endless options, I think that, I don't want to say people, like, don't settle, but they keep dating hoping to find someone better. So I feel like people don't always appreciate, like, what they have.
That's hypergamy all day long. That's literally the definition of a hypergamy right there. And yet women get mad because we tell them they're hypergamous. You know, it's crazy because, again, I actually have nothing wrong with any of these women. All these women are actually being very factual, and they're being very honest with their assessment of the condition of single women. But the point being is that the women, because she's mentioned, like, you know, the whole new social media, and then you have all these dating apps, and it's easy, you know, just swipe dudes to the left, right? Or, you know, this is your left, just swipe dudes to the left, right? Keep swiping to the left, and then you know, you could just keep dating and all this stuff. This is the problem with society. I mean, again, she mentioned back in the day, it's not just the people you know. What was wrong with that? Again, I mean, you should be sticking to the people you know. I mean, back in the days, I mean, it was word of mouth. Where are you from? I'm from the house of so-and-so. So when you understand that, yeah, there's more credence to who this man is. This man is actually a man of honor, right? Depending on, this is a man of valor, a man of actual skills, right? And because he's bearing his father's name, his father wouldn't want to degrade his name. So he's sending his son, you get what I'm saying, in respect, honor to him. So of course they would want the union to work. But if you have a union with somebody that don't give two shits, you get what I'm saying, who you are, he doesn't care about your father, and it's clear he don't care about your father because he didn't speak to the man, right? We have a culture today where people are just ripping and running behind the scenes, having sex with women, just even engaging with women, and they never once spoke to the father. Can you believe that? I mean, the father is left totally clueless as to if there's a man in this woman's life. This is the world that we actually live in. This is the world that we actually live in. They just put the father totally on the back burner, and you have this girl having 10, 20, 30, 40 bodies. But then when she finally gets married, and the father's just like, oh, okay, yeah, that's good. He's probably thinking his daughter is a virgin. He probably thinks his daughter's a virgin, and lo and behold, she was just, you know, swiping left, swiping right, swiping left. You know what I'm saying? Talking to every Dick, Tom, and Harry in the world. Ooh, you guys. And then I think I didn't mention it before, but this one girl was mentioning it too, where just like when you give away your gems, that just makes it that much harder for that girl to bond. Do you understand that? Like, it makes it literally that much harder for a girl to bond. I mean, I was watching this video. Let me see if I could pull it up for y'all.
A lot of women don't understand this. And I brought this up when we were having sushi the other day. Dr. David Buss, one of my favorite surveys of all time, he talks about when men cheat and when women cheat in a marriage. When men cheat or when men don't cheat, they report the same level of satisfaction in the marriage. When women cheat, they report lower satisfaction in the marriage 78% of the time. And for those of you who remember your statistics class, 68% is one standard deviation. So outside of one standard deviation, they're reporting lower satisfaction in the marriage. That means when men cheat, it is not to end the relationship. When women cheat, it is to end the relationship. And so that's another thing. Like, a man will go through these different cycles. Again, of course, we don't need comfort in order to have sex, and we can completely separate sex from intimacy as men. And a lot of women don't understand that. And if a man screws up and he has sex with another woman, or he, you know, exercises his options or whatever, in that case, he's not looking to go home and then leave his wife or his kids because of it. And another thing, when she loses her job, we're not looking to get divorced.
True.
That doesn't happen.
It doesn't spontaneously.
Yeah, it's like, oh, she lost her job. It's a teacher. You should get divorced. No, that doesn't work that way for us. In fact, as a man, I got to make more money. That's generally the way that we would look at it.
Yep.
That's the way they're built.
That's facts.
That's another reason why we're not going to initiate.
That's a fascinating stat. So just for the people, because I think the people really need to understand it, because I can't tell you how many times I've told girls, when a guy has sex with another girl, it's not the same as a girl having sex with another guy. So you're saying that, according to Dr. David Buss, when a man has sex with a woman, with another girl, he still reports happiness in the marriage, the same level of
satisfaction in the marriage.
But when a woman does it, she's reporting
78% of the time she's reporting lower satisfaction in the marriage. Let's go to that other study. Oh, you've had somebody on here talking about it. As women have more sexual partners before they get married, the likelihood of them getting that first divorce, I believe once they get to 20 partners, it's like a 70%.
Six partners.
Once they get past 6, you start seeing the numbers go down, the likelihood of the marriage staying. But I believe it's at 17% once you get to like 20 partners. But here's the main point.
17% of success.
Yeah.
So you got an 83% chance of failure.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
So but that's not the point of the study. The point of the study is when they did the same study on men, there was no correlation whatsoever. If a man had 500 partners or one, his likelihood of staying in a marriage was exactly the same. And this is mind-boggling for women because my total testosterone might be 700, 800, 900, and her total testosterone is like 90, 80, 60. There's no way for her to understand testosterone, the way it affects the two genders. So that's one of the issues why that's so important. But the fact that it doesn't affect men is just so hard for women to understand.
Yes.
So this is interesting because, we here have this guy explaining the difference between the body counts of men and women. And, you heard this, so I'm not going to regurgitate what he's saying. But fundamentally, what we have is a society where women want to be just like men. They want to be just like men. And you have dudes like Steve Harvey, I think he had a book, How to Think Like a Man, and all this other stuff. And this is very toxic and detrimental to the development of women in society today. Because, again, when you teach women to be like men, fundamentally what that does is women, they seek those jobs because they got to try to provide the way that men provide. They start to have multiple partners the way men naturally have multiple partners. And there's nothing wrong with having multiple partners, especially if you claim you love the Bible. I don't know how you came to the conclusion that polygyny, you guys call it polygamy, but it's not polygamy, it's polygyny. Do the research. But I don't know how you came to the conclusion that polygyny was wrong. But that's not the point of the discussion. The point is when you have women trying to operate as men, naturally they are going to be more promiscuous. They are going to start to seek out jobs and ways to provide. And in the process of doing that, they don't realize that, just as this man just said, they actually report 78% of dissatisfaction in the marriage. Well, I wonder why. Because men and women are not the same. A man could go around, and again, do not misconstrue my message. This is not me preaching that men should just go sleep around with countless women. That's not what I'm saying. That is not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that men have the ability to love multiple women, and that does not mean that he has forsaken or he has stopped loving his first woman. It does not mean that. A woman, on the other hand, is totally incapable of doing and engaging in such similar actions and thinking that she can still have that same level of love for that man. It's not possible. God, if you want to use that name, the Most High Yah, He created us, men and women, to be different for a reason. For a reason. And we want to use all this modern day science to kind of, justify sleeping with multiple people and all this stuff. Let's scratch all of that. Has anybody ever saw the show Maury? Have you ever seen a man test a bunch of women to see who's the baby mama? Let that Right, exactly. So that is my point. Let that sink in for a bit, right? You've never seen a man ever test multiple women and have a maternity test. Who's the mom of my child? No. But in Maury, you always see Jerry Springer too, all those shows. You always see women come on the show and test multiple fathers. That's showing you the confusion right there. That shows you the abomination right there. because it's not supposed to be. You see, a man can have multiple women and sleep with multiple women at the same time, and provided that each one of those women are faithful to that one man, providing, right? That man and as well as the women, they will all know who their child belongs to, because that, if they, again, providing that they all were loyal, those women know that that is the only man they slept with. That man is the father of their child, and a mom would know their child, so the man doesn't have to worry about that, right? If you switch the scenarios, if you have one man and you have one woman and multiple men, yeah, if in such a case where you say they faithful, which is an oxymoron because that woman is not faithful regardless, but provided that those men didn't go sleep with other women, it wouldn't matter, because if this woman has a child, whose DNA actually impregnated her, whose sperm actually impregnated that woman when she's having sex with 20 dudes at the same time? And could you imagine when there was no DNA test? You see, that's the thing. Because of modern day science, we can just reason away the abomination. We could just reason away the nonsense of women having multiple partners. But back in the day, especially in biblical times, just know it was confusion. And last time I checked, the Bible says that God was not the author of confusion. Anyway, if you want to see the rest of the video, I left the link in the description, so please go check that out. I think Courtney is doing a very beautiful job in interviewing the mindset of modern women. I think she's doing a very fantastic job. If you like videos like this, please like, subscribe, comment down below, because it does help the channel. And continue to stay tuned, you guys, for more videos like this in the very near future. With that being said, Blue Falcon over and out.
Game to win. Game hard.